look at them. They're exercising. How productive of them, right? I can't even do lunges properly these days. Well, it is important to exercise regularly in order for our cardiovascular system to work more efficiently. We can even exercise and utilize our muscles because of energy.
Now, how do we get
this?
this energy?
Well, it is through glucose from the food we eat, which is then broken down into energy through cellular respiration. There are two types of respiration, and currently, we are witnessing aerobic cellular respiration. Wait! Are you okay? What you just witnessed is an example of lactic acid fermentation. It occurs in muscles during strenuous exercise when sufficient oxygen is not available. This will be further explained as we go along through this development.
Did you know that cellular respiration is the process in which cells break down glucose, release stored energy, and use the energy to make ATP? For each glucose molecule that undergoes this process, up to 38 molecules of ATP are produced. Can you believe that? Each ATP molecule forms when a phosphate is added to ADP or adenosine diphosphate. This requires energy, which is stored in the ATP molecule. When cells need energy, a phosphate can be removed from ATP. This releases the energy and forms ATP again. Many people have compared a human body to a machine, albeit a highly complex one. Like real machines, the human body also consists of many parts that work together to perform certain functions. Our body may be the most fantastic machine on earth, as you will discover when you learn more about it in this vlog. I am Katrina Esa, an intellectual cellular scientist, and today I will be discussing cellular respiration. Now, what happens during cellular respiration? As some of you may know, it involves many biochemical reactions. However, the overall process can be summed up in a single chemical equation. Cellular respiration uses oxygen in addition to glucose. It releases carbon dioxide and water as waste products. In addition, it actually burns glucose for energy. However, it doesn't produce light or intense heat like burning a candle or log. Instead, it releases the energy slowly in many small steps, and this energy is used to form dozens of molecules of ATP. Now, you're probably wondering where cellular respiration takes place. Well, the answer to that is in the cells of all organisms. It occurs in autotrophs such as plants, as well as heterotrophs such as animals. Cellular respiration begins in the cytoplasm of cells. It is completed in the mitochondria. The mitochondrion is a membrane-enclosed organelle in the cytoplasm. It's sometimes called the powerhouse of the cell because of its role in the cellular respiration. Now, let me give you some trivia. Cellular respiration can occur both aerobically, using oxygen, and anaerobically, without oxygen.
What do you mean? Is that possible? How?
Whoa!
Why?
Easy there, buddy. We will get right on that track, but first, you must listen attentively to Mr. Maceda, a successful famous gym instructor, as he is about to tackle the aerobic respiration.
As most of you may know, this type requires oxygen. This is the reason why we breathe oxygen in from the air. This type of respiration releases a large amount of energy from glucose that can be stored as ATP. Aerobic respiration happens all the time in animals and plants, where most of the reactions occur in the mitochondria. Even some prokaryotes can perform aerobic respiration, although since prokaryotes don't contain mitochondria. The reactions are slightly different. The overall chemical formula for aerobic respiration can be written as. Translating that formula into English, one molecule of glucose can be broken down in the presence of oxygen, gas to produce waste products of carbon dioxide which we breathe out, and water. This process has an overall release of energy which is captured and stored in 38 molecules of ATP. Aerobic respiration is a complex process that can be divided into three basic stages: glycolysis, the Krebs cycle, and electron transport chain. The next several seconds in the video address the details of these stages. but Dr. Morandarte, an excellent zoologist, will provide a basic summary for you to better understand.
Glycolysis is the first stage that serves as the foundation for both aerobic and anaerobic cellular respiration. It takes place in the cytoplasm of the cell, where a series of 10 enzymatic reactions converts the molecule of glucose along with 2 ATP and 2 NAD+ to produce 2 pyruvate, 4 ATP, and 2 NADH. This results in a net gain of 2 molecules of ATP. The energy produced in this stage will be used in stage 3 to make more ATP. Inside the mitochondrial matrix, the pyruvate molecules from glycolysis is first converted to acetyl-CoA through pyruvate oxidation. After that, the second stage of aerobic cellular respiration begins, which is Krebs cycle or citric acid cycle, where it is the final breakdown of glucose after initially split by glycolysis. During this stage, the acetyl-CoA combines with oxaloacetate to form a 6-carbon molecule or citric acid. Through this process, carbon dioxide is taken out, which pulls out high-energy electrons, putting them on high-energy carriers NAD+ and FAD+ to form NADH and FADH2. This happens all throughout the 8 sequence until it becomes oxaloacetate, where the process repeats again. This process yields 2 ATP, 8 NADH, 2 FADH2. The energy produced will be used in stage 3, and the carbon taken out is a waste that is breathed out. The third and final stage of cellular respiration is called electron transport, which occurs in the crastea of the mitochondria. Remember NADH and FADH2 in glycolysis in the Krebs cycle? Their energy is used in this stage to make many more molecules of ATP. In fact, during this stage, as many as 34 molecules of ATP are produced. Astonishing, right? This happens through 4 protein complexes in the crastea. The high-energy electrons from NADH and FADH2 goes through these proteins one by one, hence being an electron transport chain. The 3 complexes acts as a pump, which pumps the electrons with H+ coming from the matrix, making the electrons lose energy. Since the tree has been pumping H+ out of the matrix, it is causing a greater concentration of H+ in one side than the other, or a chiasmiotic gradient. To fix such problem, it undergoes chiasmosis, wherein the final complex or ATP synthase channel lets the H+ back into the matrix. In this process, it takes in ATP and turns it into ATP. The electron transport requires oxygen, so this stage is also aerobic. Furthermore, the oxygen combines with hydrogen from the energy-storing molecules. This forms water, which is another waste product.
Let's move on to the second type, which is the anaerobic respiration. Some organisms, mostly bacteria, perform anaerobic cellular respiration. The cells use the same 3 basic stages: glycolysis, the citric acid cycle, and the electron transport chain or chemiosmosis, but another molecule is used in place of oxygen gas. This is not a common form of cellular respiration and isn't used by humans, so we will not be focusing on it. Just a side note here. Typically, when anaerobic respiration is mentioned in videos and animations, they're not talking about this process. They are talking about fermentation. To have a comprehensive understanding, our diligent and assiduous cardiologist will discuss it with you.
Have you ever wondered why some organisms can produce ATP from glucose anaerobically? One way this happens is because of fermentation. Fermentation includes the glycolysis step of cellular respiration. However, it doesn't include the other aerobic steps. Fermentation releases a much smaller amount of energy than aerobic respiration. In fact, it does not release enough energy to power human cells for long. Think about how long a person can live if they are not able to breathe. Fermentation occurs in muscle cells during hard exercise after oxygen has been used up. Many prokaryotes perform anaerobic respiration. There are 2 types of fermentation: the lactic acid fermentation and the alcoholic fermentation. In lactic acid fermentation,
pyruvate from glycolysis changes to lactic acid. It is the waste product produced during anaerobic respiration. Strenuous exercise can build up lactic acid in your muscles, causing cramp, just like what happened earlier. In this process, the enzyme converts the pyruvic acid produced in glycolysis into a 3-carbon molecule called lactic acid. Simultaneously, one hydrogen atom is added to NADH to form NAD+, which is used to restart glycolysis. Around the same time, a proton is added to the pyruvic acid. NADH transfers the electrons directly to pyruvate, producing lactate as a byproduct. This type of fermentation is carried out by the bacteria in yogurt and your muscle cells. While in alcoholic fermentation, pyruvate changes to alcohol and carbon dioxide. The primary purpose of alcohol fermentation is to produce ATP. Yeasts and some bacteria carry out this type of fermentation. To sum up, these are the aerobic respiration equations. Primarily, aerobic respiration is much more efficient than fermentation. One molecule of glucose can generate up to 38 molecules of ATP if aerobic respiration is used. In contrast, only 2 molecules of ATP are generated in fermentation.
Cellular respiration is the process by which cells in plants and animals break down sugar and turn it into energy, which is then used to perform work at the cellular level. Cellular respiration is essential to both eukaryotic and prokaryotic cells because this biochemical energy is produced to fuel many metabolic processes such as biosynthesis, locomotion, and transportation of molecules across the membranes. The purpose of cellular respiration is simple. It provides cells with the energy they need to function. If living things could not get the energy they need out of food, it would be absolutely worthless. All living things would eventually die, no matter the quality and amount of food.